Our topic is quite interesting. Is okay, this rapid response labor mechanism
No es
in the
posible iniciar
corporate
video desde ahora.
due diligence and as the new institutions for labor in North America. And we were discussing the way that we can assess the progress in both of them. We have an agenda, and I can have to say first that we are not only scholars working on these topics, but we are actors also. Particularly, Graciela Bensusán is a key actor in all this stuff. You know that Graciela Bensusán is a panel member
No, dice que no es posible.
of the labor issue, which is included in the USMCA. But also in this corporate sustainability due diligence, Graciela belongs to a panel. So we have been carrying out some research project closely linked to the progress of these two mechanisms.
Entonces, no, ¿por qué?
And yeah, it's kind of difficult, guys, but first, in our agenda, we stress that we are in a new stage in the global labor regulation, which is quite interesting because at the same time that there is this situation where policies in many countries seems to be going again kind of aggressive with labor. In even ITUC, I say that in the last couple of years, there is this regression in terms of labor progress, but at the same time, there is this new type of way of labor regulations in some countries where it's critical what is going on, especially in North America and in Central Europe. And you know, in the case of North America, we have no, porque ya estoy hablando, no hay más, sorry. And yeah, in the UFCA, we see this RLM, I'm gonna put it in these terms, mechanisms, but it also includes clauses related to labor value content and all these situations that link the access to the market to the enforcing and compliance with labor rights. But whereas this is going on in the case of North America, in Central Europe, this is new due diligence mechanisms, which includes in tight labor rights with human rights in general and environmental standards and environmental rights.
Okay.
And which is interesting is that
Gracias, sí, muy amable.
Whereas
Chao.
this is in progress, just in the last month, they approved for Central Europe the due diligence mechanism and includes a program to enforce it from here to the next 4 years. In the case of Germany, they already put in place the mechanism, and they are experiencing the mechanisms in such key countries for the auto sector as Mexico. They start to doing this in Mexico in order to explore the mechanisms. And Graciela has been doing research, and as I mentioned, part of the panel. So we have been working in the last couple of years with many corporations and many unions trying to assess the way that this could be put in force. We say from a conceptual perspective that this is a new corporate and trade governance mechanism. And this new governance structure implies that we have new rules, and these rules are rising. This is key in our view, rising the cost of transactions in many fronts at the same time. But this cost implies that firms are going to observe, assess, and introduce measures to remediate specific situations, or they are going to lose access either to the market in the case of North America, or they won't be able to work the same way with the supply chain in the case of Europe. In brief, we see that new mechanisms in North America implies looking for a just trade, whereas in the case of Europe, it implies looking for a just transition. There is a key difference between both of them, and we will be happy to discuss about it. And you know, in the case of Germany, that already is in the forefront of these new regulations, they are involving risk management, human rights, risk analysis, policy statement, preventive measures, remedial action, complaints procedure, work with suppliers in evaluation report of what is interesting also is the way that both mechanisms and regulations are being introduced in cases such as Mexico. Because, for instance, even when I just mentioned all the things that the German regulations and procedures imply, taking into account the RLM from North America, listen to this, guys. Germany is one of the countries that is, in most of the cases, coming from Europe, this has been put under complaint with labor in Mexico. In general, most of the cases put in the mechanisms came from North America, first from USA, and second from Mexico. But when thinking in the rest of the world, secondly, it comes Central Europe with, as I just mentioned, Germany at the beginning. And then it comes, especially from Asia, Japan, and China, factories doing violations in no compliance. I'm going to finish. We are not able to present the way that we plan. We're so sorry about it. But the question is, what is the progress that these both new labor institutions, what is the impact and the effect that they are having on Mexico labor relations and industrial transformation. And we find that so far is important impact, but it's slight. We see that these regulations are acting as the ignition for transformation of labor in Mexico, but after the initial point, oh, you got it. You got it, the presentation. Can you go to the end, please? And I was mentioning that, yeah, they are putting the initial point to transformation. And especially in the case of North America, have been able to put some new institutions of labor. You know, in Mexico, there is a new labor law.
Déjame que vuelva a poner para escribirles que ya está viendo cómo hago para poner chat. Entonces, okay.
But this is not good enough at the end. What is lacking is the transformation coming from inside. In brief, this is quite important. Developments and evolutions. And even some years ago, Graciela and myself, we were asking, it is possible for countries as Mexico that the change has to come from outside? And we answered yes. But again, we realized doing all these works during the last few years and watching and assessing the cases presented and access and assessing and working with labor unions, working directly with workers in many factories, that after all this, we need to organize and to promote transformation from inside in order to close, you can say, the circle. If you go, Graciela, please, to the end. We are about to close it. But you see, there are a lot of information that we have. For instance, this graph shows us how exactly workers are thinking about all these new regulations, institutions. And for instance, we realize that most of the workers don't know what exactly is going on. Many of you probably are familiar. There was this legitimation process of collective bargaining, and workers don't know about it. And can you keep going, Graciela, please? Go. And look, for instance, this work was led by Graciela and her team, and they were working in about 40 factories, German factories, and they picked 4 assembly plants, and the rest was suppliers, tier 1 suppliers and tier 2 suppliers. And if we go, Graciela, please, to the brief, to the brief. They even, the next one, this is quite revealing. The previous, Graciela, no. This one. This is a kind of a brief of all the findings that they were able to put together. Again, after working with about 40 firms, factories. And Graciela built this scale of low risk, moderate risk, and high risk. And you can see that even in some cases, the risk of, we're talking about risk for labor, not enforcement or violations of regulations. And I say they realized that the risks were higher in some cases in assembly plants. In other words, they were higher in corporations than in suppliers, which is kind of terrible, right? We can keep going, Graciela, please, to the end. Yeah, and we see this in conceptual terms. The new regulations are working in the case of Mexico, and particularly in the auto sector, which is key in this discussion.
Alex, excuse me, I'm very sorry to interrupt. We're out of time for your presentation. Can you just take a minute to wrap it up for us?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. This last graph shows us that what we try to convey. Okay, the new mechanisms are rising transaction costs, we say, and they are acting like a ripple effect. And a ripple effect is producing some little impacts. But then it comes all that bandwagon effect, which means that most of the actors of the employment relationship hold to the same. And all the path dependency trajectories remains exerting a lot of weight. Okay, sorry, and again, thank you.